Hi everyone, welcome to this week's Halton Hills housing update. So we have another week of inventory dropping again, so we're definitely starting to see this trend through December. So looking at last week's numbers, Georgetown had 8 sales, which is good. Like we have been seeing consistently 8-ish sales for the last few weeks, which is up significantly from our sort of lull of 3 to 4. So 8 sales. What is notable is only one of them sold over $1 million. All the other sales were under $1 million. So definitely that lower price point is still the one that's moving more rapidly and is seeing activity. The rest of the stuff is sitting pretty stagnant. The other good news is we only had 4 new listings last week, and 3 of them are, I'm not calling them a new build anymore because they're ready and you can move into them, but essentially 3 of them are vacant new or builds. So there's like technically 1 new listing last week in Georgetown. So very low new listings happening. This is a trend I told you would happen in December. We see it every December, but what's really causing sort of a shift in the market is the fact that we are seeing properties still coming off the market as well as low listings, and it's really causing things to dip here. So again, we'll be watching if that changes the demand and in terms of like how many sales we're seeing or if we start to see bidding wars again. But for right now, the numbers are going in a direction that is favorable to the overall market not being completely dead and tanking. Looking at Acton this week, Acton had 2 sales and 1 new listing. So again, slow new listings in Acton, not a ton of sales, but you know, not a lot of new listings either. So not a ton happening there. Glen Williams had no sales and 1 new listing. Limehouse had no sales, no new listings. And the rural market this week had 1 sale and 1 new listing. And then now when we're looking at what we've been looking at the last few months is our properties that are terminating, coming off the market, changing their prices, all of those things. This is another notable conversation last week. You might remember last week it was like insane. We had 30 properties come off the market. Not quite as dramatic this week, but still pretty significant. So 14 properties, when I searched terminated, expired, suspended properties, 14 properties came up. Of those 14, 12 of them came off the market and did not relist. So we are seeing just the majority of properties that are doing anything in terms of, you know, we're just not seeing price drops. We're seeing properties just exit the market. So of the 14, 12 of them came off the market. So you know what that's going to do to inventory. It's going to drop. We had 1 property relist and reduce their price, and another property relisted at the same price just to freshen up the listing. So still a huge amount of listings coming off the market this week, even though things are a lot slower. So that brings us into active inventory. All of Halton Hills is down under 150. We are at 149 active listings in all of Halton Hills. That is down from 164 last week. So we, again, are seeing this inventory coming down. The last time we saw under 150 was the start of May. And you remember May was a really strong month for us. So that could be an indicator that the market may pick back up in the new year, but we hadn't seen that number since the start of May. And before May, we hadn't seen that number since last November. So that overall is good news for overall inventory levels. If you're a seller, you know, you won't forget that 8 weeks ago we were sitting like 230 listings. Like it was wild. So to be down at 149 listings, which, you know, earlier this year, that market was our busiest market. May was our busiest market this year, and that's similar inventory levels. Again, we're in December. I don't think we're going to see this like crazy spike in activity, but it's not doom and gloom for sellers right now in terms of where the trend of inventory is going. Again, always supply and demand. The less stuff on the market, the more likely you are to keep our pricing, you know, a little higher. So we'll see. So Georgetown this week, we are down from 96 listings to 88 active listings. The last time we saw that number was the start of August. So it has been months of our inventory just skyrocketing, and we are finally coming back down to not super low levels, but levels that we had when the market wasn't like it didn't feel like it was tanking. So looking at our price points this week, under 800,000 is down from 19 to 15 active listings. Still sitting pretty high, especially with condo, townhomes, and condo apartments. But that is good news that that's going backwards. But again, that's the price point that is moving right now. Same with the 800 to $1 million. We are down from 29 to 24 active listings. Like I talked about when I was reporting the sales, far majority of properties this week were under $1 million, so no surprise to see those price points down. So now 1 to 1.5 million is up slightly from 30 to 31 active listings. Still seeing a softening in these numbers, even though it's up this week. Like, we are way down from the almost 60 that we were seeing. So we're way down, but there is just a huge saturation of properties in this price point and not a lot of people willing to purchase properties. Looking at 1.5 million plus, we remain the same this week at 18. That price point is super, super dead. I mean, we're seeing a little bit of movement in 1 to 1.5, but 1.5 plus is just dead. And I suspect we'll start seeing more of those properties coming off the market too, because they're not going to be fetching what they hope for. Acton this week is down from 24 to 21 active listings. All of our inventory levels that we're seeing this week are very similar to what we were seeing in August. So we sort of are canceling out the disastrous September and October that we saw in terms of inventory, and we're starting to come down to levels that feel a little less suffocating in terms of how many listings we have. Glen Williams is up slightly this week from 7 to 8 active listings. Interesting stuff in the Glen. There's one property just sitting at 689, a small house, and then you jump right up to like 1.96 million, so almost $2 million. So there's just such a huge gap in the Glen right now. Limehouse had one of those terminations this week. They're down to no active listings. There's nothing available in Limehouse. And the rural market went from 36 down to 32 active listings. Again, haven't seen those numbers since the end of August. So the numbers this week are promising. If we continue to see virtually no new listings throughout the month of December, as well as sales continuing to be, I wouldn't call them strong, but stable, we could be going into the new year in a much better position than we were in this fall. There was no interest rate increase. People are going to start to climatize to this market, and they're going to start to be participating again. And if demand starts to pick back up and our inventory keeps dropping the way that we're seeing it drop, that is certainly going to shift where the market could go. So we could be going into the new year in a promising position where we're not feeling like prices are going to absolutely plummet, because simply the demand could pick up enough, and the supply, if people keep coming off the market, the inventory is going to be at levels that are actually considered kind of low. So this is going to be really interesting to watch. So I'll be back next Tuesday. Have a great week, everyone.